He's back. And God, that's why you're here. You came for it, eh? It's gone now. Stuff goes fast in the offseason. Oh, man. Good to be here. Good to see y'all. Yeah, I would say significantly. I'm excited about it. A year ago, the touchback being at the 30, and then I think, as you guys saw, at the end of the year, the average drive start 29.5 or something like that. So there was no real benefit. If you wanted to be average, there's really no benefit to obviously kicking the ball off or returning it. But this year, if you said the average is a 29.5 and the touchback's a 30, then obviously statistically it's saying, okay, we need to return the ball, or if you're on kickoff, they really dictate the play. You need to kick it off and force these guys to return it. So I'm fired up. It's going to be great. We're going to get a ton of plays. I think it's going to change, quite a bit. You just say, 4 or 5 kickoffs in a game at least, or kickoff returns. That's 5 to 10 more plays. And then not only that, but really you're talking your drive start for either your offense or your defense. And you have a chance to make a significant impact on that drive start, which everybody would agree. I mean, the league's been trying to push it out for a reason because it equals points. So it's going to be great. It'll be fun. Great about it. I feel like I know the play much better than a year ago, obviously, or I'd hope so. Don't give myself too much credit. But yeah, I definitely feel like I have a much better grasp for it. We will definitely play the play a whole lot different than we did a year ago in a lot of respects. Not only like just obviously forcing the return, which we didn't do a ton of a year ago for a lot of different reasons, but just how each player will play it. We'll play a lot more on the attack, a lot more aggressive, a lot more trying to create negative field position for those guys and kind of play conservative and not give up the big play was a little bit more of our mentality a year ago while we kind of learned more about the play. And then a big part of that, too, was with Jake Bates kicking off. That wasn't necessarily a strength going into the season. We didn't want to add a whole lot to his plate, and it was going to be like – the kick may change throughout the course of years, so now we're saying, okay, kick it like this, okay, kick it like that, okay, kick it like this, and then, by the way, hey, let's do a great job of kicking field goals for the first time in the National Football League, and so maybe not a great formula. So we kind of stayed away from some of that to help him a little bit, to be honest with you. But he was out there today kicking these balls. He looks great doing it, so I'm excited. Old guard. I mean, I did have an eye appointment yesterday. I mean, you hit 50 and then everything changes. Gosh, I get those little cheaters. I get 1.5 and then it goes to 2.0 and then, but yeah, no, obviously for me, number one, I would say I feel very fortunate to be here. This is a great organization. I know you guys all know that I love Dan Campbell and love working for him, and feel very grateful of that. I would never take one day in this building for granted, and I say that to the players all the time. But for me, I'm living a dream, and I really mean that every day. It's incredible, especially this time of year. The weather's getting good. I mean, this is why we live in Michigan. Yeah, I think, there's been a bunch of change, obviously, with coaching staff and all that. But from my perspective, just seeing it in my shoes, I think some of it's good. You got these younger guys, some guys coming from college. I know for myself, I mean, I feel like the greatest thing that ever happened to me is I coached at a bunch of small college football programs, and I had to learn to paint the lines, to cut up the film. And so when you come into a building like this, you take absolutely nothing for granted. And I know there's something to be said for those guys who played in the NFL and then came right into coaching in these buildings and all that. But like Tashard Choice played in the NFL, he went and coached in college. You don't go coach college because you like the paycheck. You go and coach college because you love coaching, because those guys, through the recruiting and all the hard things they got to do, you really find out if they're all in or not. Then we got Roll from Iowa State. And so these guys bring a lot of young energy. They definitely are appreciative of being here. They want to coach guys and make guys better. I think when you come from college programs, there's a lot to be said for development, especially in the old days. I mean, you were really working hard to develop talent. And so it's exciting to watch those guys go out there and coach. For me, I enjoy watching coaches and learning from coaches, and so seeing their young, youthful energy, I love. The biggest thing for me would be number one, Dan Campbell, and then number two, we got a bunch of really good players in that locker room. I know I said last year this game's all about the players, but I've said that a million times, really ever since I started coaching in this business, and it's the truth. I mean, if you have good players, you got a chance. If you don't have good players, it can get really difficult really fast. So that obviously speaks to Brad Holmes and all those guys too, and the job that they've done here. Every year's a challenge. It's never going to get easier in this league. It always just gets harder, but we're excited for that. The one thing about Dan Campbell to me that's just unbelievable is, and I don't think it comes across, which is probably why I say it all the time, but just how brilliant he is. I mean, he is super smart, and he likes to be the tough, gruff, grit, and all that attitude and all that stuff. But, man, he is very, very thorough and very, very smart and very calculated with everything he does. And then I would say the next thing about him that I think he's exceptional about, but he really thinks about every player, and when he thinks about the player, he's thinking about it through the player's shoes, and what this guy's going through physically, mentally, and how he can help each one of those guys physically and mentally. And he does that better than any guy I've been around by far. I mean, he spends more time thinking of it. I'll get like the random call from him, and it'll be like, hey, what do you think about playing this guy here? And it'll be like Sunday at 9 a.m. And I'm like, well, I was actually just trying to make sure I took care of my family and my wife, and we got to church and we went home. But yeah, what I think of it, that's a pretty good idea. He's thinking about it all the time. I love it. Because I think the one thing that Brad understands, and he understands this very well, is like those down-the-line draft picks, if they really can't play on special teams, it's hard to keep them around. And then if you can't keep them around, it's hard for them to develop. And a lot of those guys are getting drafted there because they need time to develop. And I said this when I was in Philly. They said, we got to develop players. We got to develop players. We got to develop players. And I'm like, well, the National Football League is really not about developing players. I hate to say that. And no one likes hearing that, but it's the truth. You can either come in here and help or you can. If you can't help, there's no place for you. And so we really don't have time to develop you. Now, that being said, there's a little caveat to that. And it's like, if you can help right now on special teams, then you can buy yourself some time to develop. And I've seen that with a number of players. I give these rookies a presentation every year, and it's like the undrafted free agents that I've been around, and they've all gone on to make a lot of money and play for a long time, and they've all become positional starters, and a bunch of them are still playing. And my point to them is they didn't start off playing offense or defense in the position all these guys know that they're playing right now. They started off playing special teams, and that bought them some time to develop, earn a reputation, get an opportunity to go play and show what they could do. And then when they got that opportunity, they stepped up and made some plays, and then they took care of the rest. But really, it's through special teams that kind of gives you a chance to do that. If the guy can't play on teams, he's not active on game day, nobody wants him around, coaches are frustrated, the front office is frustrated because coaches don't want him around, don't like him, so I would say I give him a lot of credit for kind of being ahead of the curve, or at least in front of it, or very on it than a lot of guys are. Obviously, we played against him a year ago. When we played against him, all the guys in the room knew, like, man, this guy plays with his hair on fire. He's got, a lot of energy. He's a tough out every single play. When he's in coverage, whether it's punt or kickoff, he's making the tackle or he's showing up around the ball. And he's going to demand a lot of resources from the opponent. So I would say that's the biggest thing. And then getting to know him, seems like just a great guy. We've just started to work together a little bit here in the offseason. The way he practices and does every drill, you can see, like, okay, it's the same way he plays the game, which is kind of what the great ones do. So it's been fun to be around him. I'm excited to get around him a little bit more, see what kind of roles we can get him into and all that. There's a lot that he can develop on, and I think, obviously the kickoffs would be one of those things, which he's come a long way in already. So I think that's one thing. I mean, I think when you're a kicker in this league, you're always challenged because the bar is set so high and the standard's so high that it's never easy. And people ask competition in training camp. We don't have that right now. Does that bother me? Not at all. I mean, if you're one of these guys, it's right around the corner. And I always say the toughest competition is when you don't know who it is. And that means the guy's not on your team, he's somewhere else, and you're competing against a guy you don't even know. Because obviously we're always evaluating everybody. But I think the biggest thing with him is just continue to progress, keep his confidence up. I said a year ago at the very beginning of the year, he's going to have some ups and downs, and we're going to stick with him. And I'll say the same thing this year. He's going to have some ups and downs. We're going to stick with him. We obviously play a lot more outside this year, so that's going to be a challenge for him that he's going to have to overcome. It was kind of a perfect storm for him last year with all those inside games. So that gives him a chance to develop and prove that he can go out there and do it outside too and inside, and be the same player. But he had a great year for us a year ago. It'll never be easy to match that. This league's always hard. A lot of it's going to come down to the kicks he's asked to kick. How deep are they? How many of those? How far back? All that stuff. What are the conditions like? And we'll find out what those are after the year. But I feel great about him. Just watching him, I can tell, you can see that he's a lot more confident. He's a lot more sure of what's going on around him, kind of the calendar timeline. I think we talked about it, not to keep going on forever, but I think we talked about it during last season where I had said he had kicked all of the XFL or UFL or whatever that other league was he was in. He kicked that season, and then he came back to our season, went through training camp, kicked that whole season. So he had been kicking for a long, long time. Last year, I think giving his leg a little bit of a chance to rest and recover will be good for him. But yeah. I'm excited for him. He looks great, and I think the guy's going to be a great player in this league.